Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, we are here live and in living color with the commentary, live commentary for Stephen Coolboy Steph Fulton, 29 years old, 122 pounds, stands at 5'6". He's 3-0 in world title fights. He is unified as the champion of the world. He holds the WBC and WBO titles, and he just was announced live in Japan. And of course, Naoya Inoue, who is 24-0 with 25 knockouts. He stands at 5'5", 121.7 pounds that he weighed in. He is a knockout artist. He's a power puncher. He's from Japan. Will Cool Boy Steph, as we call him Scooter here in Philly, will he turn back the hands of time and repeat history again in Japan? I published a video just yesterday that basically, you know, talked about how James Buster Douglas, you know, he made history in Japan. Now, round number one is underway. Both of these guys look like they are in tip-top shape. And one of the things I noticed quickly is that Inoue is keeping his left hand down at his waist. Both of these guys are filling each other out, as you can see. They're filling each other out. Cool Boy Steph throwing the jab, trying to find his range. And as we know, Cool Boy Steph has a 3.5-inch reach advantage over Inoue. So hopefully he can use that to his advantage. In the duration of this fight, Scooter lands a jab to the body. No punches from Inoue has landed just yet. They're standing toe-to-toe. And Inoue throws a left jab to the body and misses. And Scooter gets hit with a big right hand that was partially blocked. Both land their jab. I can tell these guys are extremely focused in this fight. Extremely. Inoue throws 3 punches and one of them did land. And I'll tell you something about Inoue, man. I do not just key in on his power only. He has good speed and good timing. Both of these guys in the clinch, the referee get in there and break them up. With about 1 minute, approximately 1 minute remaining in the first round, Inoue throws the jab too high, misses, throws it and lands to the middle of Scooter's body. And I can tell that Inoue's definitely trying to let his hands go. I can tell he's really trying to let his hands go. Good jab by Inoue. Cool Boy jumps on his bicycle briefly. Inoue throws the right hook, but he missed. It's too far away. If you hear me throughout the duration of this fight say Scooter, it's because I'm used to calling him Scooter. Every time I see him, I say Scooter, but I'm referring to Cool Boy Steph. Now they're in the clinch. They're throwing punches, holding. Referee gives a sharp warning to Inoue for hitting behind the head, and that concludes round number 1. Salute to everybody in the chat. Good morning, good morning. I know this was kind of like uh, abrupt. I didn't give like my usual advertisements of when I go live, but it's early in the morning here on the East Coast. And they're showing a replay right now of Inoue throwing that jab, and he did land flush on Cool Boy. And Inoue, he's what I notice is he's trying to close the distance, not only with his jab, but also with his footwork. And I like what I see so far from both guys. It's definitely been a chess match. And round number 2 has just begun. Both men standing right in front of each other in the middle of the ring. Both of them throwing some jabs and hooks that miss. And Inoue lands a good right hand on Cool Boy. Cool Boy gets hit with 2 punches, a right and a left to the body. And Inoue is just trying to let his hands go. And he is definitely pressing Scooter right now. Scooter's trying to move to his left, and every time he moves to his left, Inoue throws that right hook. He missed again, just slightly. And Inoue is definitely pressing the action. Big body shot by Inoue, then a right hand lands. And Scooter shakes his head no. And sometimes in boxing, no means yes. And sometimes in boxing, no really does mean no. Inoue got his left hand down like he's trying to do a shoulder roll. And Scooter throws 3 punches and he missed all 3 of them. Inoue comes with a 3-punch combination. He lands flush with the left hook. It looks like to me that Inoue's arms are longer than Scooter's. I know they're saying that Scooter has a 3.5-inch reach advantage. I don't know if that's accurate or not. Both men back in the center of the ring. And Inoue is just keeping his left hand down to his waist. And hopefully Scooter can capitalize off of that. Both of them just sitting there, just filling each other out. Scooter's waiting to counter. Inoue waiting for him to punch. With 1 minute remaining left in the second round. Inoue throws the right hook. He missed again. Scooter gets out of his way. Right hand lands again. Right hand lands again for Inoue. And Scooter jumps right out of the corner where he was kind of pressed at it a little bit. Now he's trying to press the action and back Inoue up. And every time Scooter throws that right hand, he's out of range. And I think it's because his arms are actually shorter than Inoue's. Both men throwing the jab, they both miss. Inoue throws the right hand, he missed. Scooter back touch the ropes and he gets out of there with 10 seconds remaining in the second round. And that concludes round number 2. I will provide my scorecard. Good jab. They're showing a replay here. I'll provide the results of my scorecard after the 3rd round. And Inoue just, he's being more active than Scooter right now. Just in my observation, every time Scooter throws that right hand, he's about 3 inches short from landing it. So what he has to do, he has to step inside with that jab. He has to step inside with that jab because he's not really being effective with landing the jab. Round number 3. And it looks like Scooter looks like he's a little bit more motivated with his body language. I can tell by his body language. And they both are trying to land that jab. Inoue as well. Good left hook by Inoue after landing the jab to the solar plexus. Another right hand that lands flush on Scooter. And Inoue is peppering that jab out there, whether it lands or not. He's definitely disrupting the timing of Scooter when he throws that jab out there, because the right hand usually follows behind it. And Scooter is just standing his ground, as he should. He's standing right there. And I can tell by Inoue's body language, he's relaxed. He's calm. He's waiting for the counter. Good combination again by Inoue, but he missed. He lands the first body punch, and Cool Boy throws a right hand that was partially blocked. Left jab lands by Scooter. And I can tell Scooter wants to back up Inoue, but Inoue stops him right in his tracks with the jab, and then the jab to the middle of the body, and he's waiting for the right hand, and you can tell it. And I think Scooter needs to just stop waiting, and he has to throw the punch. Jab lands again by Inoue. And Scooter's looking for the counter, missed the left hook. Inoue lands the jab. Inoue looks sharp in this fight, and he actually looks sharp in this round. It looks like Scooter's waiting for the counter punch, and he has to be a little bit more active, as Inoue's just sitting back calm, waiting. Both men standing in the middle of the ring, and body shot lands right down the middle from Inoue. That right hand was blocked by Scooter. Scooter gets out of there, jumps on his bike a little bit. And I can tell that the rhythm of Scooter, his rhythm is being disrupted by the straight jabs to the body and to the head of Inoue. And you can see blood coming from the mouth of Scooter as that ends the third round. Matter of fact, I don't think that was his mouth. That was blood coming out of his nose, actually. Not his mouth, blood coming out of his nose. And sometimes, in boxing, even if a fighter throws a straight jab to the body and miss, sometimes that's just a decoy for them to throw the real punch that they want to throw. And that's the overhand right or the overhand left. Round number 4 about to start. I have it 3-0 Inoue. And I'm looking at the body language of both fighters. And Inoue looks very relaxed right now. He looks like he's, waiting for the counter. He's definitely jabbing at will. and big right hand lands partially by Inoue. And Scooter standing his ground. Partial headbutt. These guys locked up. Ref comes in and breaks it up. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the fourth round. And Scooter has to definitely switch his levels up. He has to change his angles right now because he's standing right in front of Inoue, and that's when Inoue's advantages of his speed and power are on display. He's got to move his head. He is blocking pretty good. Inoue lands a combination, but he missed 2 of those punches, and one of them was partially blocked by Scooter. Yep, and Scooter got to pump that jab out there. That's what he has to do because Inoue's waiting for him to come in so he can land that jab right down to the middle of the body. And of course, he's doing that so he can land an overhand right. It's definitely a setup. And Scooter's waving his hand, telling Inoue, come on, come on. And every time he throws that right hand, he's out of range. Combination land by Scooter, then a combination thrown by Inoue that missed. Big 1-2 punch lands by Inoue. And Scooter shakes his head no. But he's got to come back with something. Both men standing right in front of each other. Blood trickling out of the nose of Scooter. And Inoue's just sitting there with his left hand by his waist. And of course, we know why. To bait Scooter in to throw in the right hand so he can counter it. Big 1-2 punch lands by Inoue. Now Scooter is advancing, backing Inoue up. Now what Scooter's going to have to do, he's going to have to press the action and land some punches. He did just throw a left hook and he missed. And now they're in exchange and Inoue throws. Left hook partially blocked by Inoue. Right hand partially blocked. 10 seconds remaining. And Scooter is backing up. And that concludes round number 4. Oh, my audio was low? Nobody said nothing to me. I didn't know my audio was low. I'm sitting here doing all this talking and somebody in the chat said my audio is low. Can y'all hear me now? Check 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Dang, my audio low? Yeah, they're showing a replay of the big 1-2 punch that was landed flush by Inoue. And Scooter definitely needs to pick up the pace in this fight. Somebody said the audio is fine. Appreciate it. The 5th round has just begun. And they both start this round with throwing jabs. Scooter using good head movement. He gets tagged by one jab, but big head movement that's really been used by Scooter. And he looks determined too. He looks determined as far as his body language, as far as him advancing. But every time he advances, Inoue's doing a great job with boxing technique. He's not backing straight up. He's boxing as he's pivoting. Big right hand lands flush on Scooter. 2 of them land by Inoue. Scooter threw the left hook, but he missed. Inoue gets right under it. The 1-2 thrown by Inoue. And Inoue's just keeping his left hand down, as I've been saying this entire time, by his waist. If he's not throwing that, that was a big right hand. I think that hurt Scooter. Big right hand landed flush on Scooter. And that right hand's been landing at will from the 1-2 combination, one of the deadliest combinations in boxing, landing by Inoue. Scooter has to use more head movement. He hasn't landed a clean punch yet, like we know he can do. You know, I can tell that there's something off about Scooter in this fight. And when I mean by off, I'm talking about his body. I believe his conditioning is there, but it's something different about just his movement, just certain things I'm used to seeing from him. He is trying to move around the ring, and then Inui's just throwing that right hand anytime he wants to, and sometimes it lands, and a few times it didn't. Scooter throws his own combination, didn't have a whole lot of mustard on it, and Inui's coming with the jab to the body and then the right hand over the top. And I told you that's the punch that he really was looking for. Every time he throws that left jab to Scooter's body, that's the punch he's looking for. And as I said from the first round on, the jab of Inoue is disrupting the timing and rhythm of Scooter right now. Here in the fifth round with 20 seconds remaining. Left hook partially lands by Inoue. Scooter says no. Shakes his head by saying no. And blood is still trickling down the nose of Scooter. Big left uppercut land by Inoue as Scooter tried to get out of range. And that concludes the fifth round. And right now, to our surprise, and everybody know I have a lot of respect and admiration for Scooter, Cool Boy Steph, but to each and every one of our surprise, Inoue's outboxing him right now. And he's beating him to the punch by landing combinations to the body. And then after he lands a punch, Inoue gets right out of range. You know, I mean, that was Scooter's best round when we talk about combinations landed. He landed one good combination in that round. But he needs to do just a little bit more than that if he wants to come out with a win or at least a draw. The time is actually ticking. Jab lands by Scooter. And then Inoue, he comes back with his own jab. Left hook, right hand lands by Inoue. And Inoue is just standing right there. Then he gets out of range. Left hook, partially land by Scooter, but it wasn't enough. And Inoue's right now, he's just outboxing Scooter right now. And it's to everybody's surprise because we know how great of a boxer Scooter is. He's throwing the jab, but he's throwing one at a time. And every time Inoue sees him come in, Inoue throws a combination like that one right there. Big left hand, then a right. 1-2 combination landed flush by Inoue. Right hand lands again by Inoue as Scooter tries to throw a body punch. And Inoue's just throwing that wheel now. Some of those punches were missed. Left jab lands again by Inoue. Right hand lands. 20 seconds remaining in the sixth round. Left hand lands by Inoue. Now Cool Boy's throwing, but and tangled up by the ropes, and that ends the sixth round. Well, as I mentioned before, Cool Boy has not been going to the body at all in this fight. Or if he has, I haven't seen it. Maybe once or twice to slow Inoue down. Inoue's just right now, at this point in the beginning of the seventh round, which will start momentarily, he's been giving Cool Boy Steph basically a boxing clinic. Round number 7. Round number 7. And, Inoue's doing a good job staying out of range. Every time Scooter throws that right hand, he's not there. He pulled back just in enough time. And that's because he can telegraph those punches before it comes. And Inoue does a good job with, he's leaving his left hand down by the waist. I really don't like when fighters do that because you can get caught with something. But he's doing that to invite Scooter in so that he can counter him. See how Scooter just landed that right hand, threw that right hand, but he was out of range, even though it looked like he was close enough. He is advancing. Scooter is advancing, but he has to get that jab pumping, and he has to jump on the inside and attack Inoue's body because right now Inoue's body language. Inoue just got hit by a big right hand. Best punch of the evening for Cool Boy Steph. And then Inoue comes back with the left hand. That was a big right hand that caught Inoue flush. And he has to capitalize off of that. He has to capitalize off of that. Scooter, I mean. And he's backing up a lot in this round. And he has to capitalize off of that big shot that he lands on Inoue. And Inoue hits Scooter with a combination that got Scooter backing up to the ropes. Big right hand over the top by Scooter. And then Inoue responds with an overhand right and then a left hook to the body. Under 1 minute remaining here in the seventh round. And Inoue is not even, trying to cut the ring off. He's just trying to get close enough so he can land. Good jab land by Inoue. Inoue lets his hands fly. He threw 5 punches and probably landed just 2. 30 seconds remaining in the seventh. And Cool Boy Steph, he gets hit with 2 consecutive jabs by Inoue. And he's jumping on his bicycle a little bit. He has to get out of that corner. That's where Inoue, uses that speed and power when he got you pinned against the ropes and in the corner. Left jab lands again by Inoue. And that concludes the seventh round. Round number 8 coming right up. Salute to my guy, Philly Fight Doctor. I guess I'll see you later too, Philly Fight Doctor. And I'm telling you right now, y'all, Inoue, when he throws those left hooks to the body, he's really out of range. His feet, as far as his placement, are not in the right place, even though his shots are landing. And so, with that being said, those are opportunities that Cool Boy Steph can use to be able to step to the side with the pivot and then come over the top with the right hand. But because Cool Boy is in defensive mode mentally, it's hard for him to make those counters and those adjustments. And round number 8 just started right now. Both men in the center of the ring. Somebody in the chat asked me, how do I have this fight scored? I already told you what my score was in the third. Now I got to give you my score from the last 3 or 4 rounds. Right now, I have Inoue winning this fight by extremely wide margin, 7 rounds to 0. And I love Cool Boy Steph. He represents my city of Philadelphia. I've met him over a handful of times. He's a good guy. Every time I talk to him, big right hand lands by Inoue, and then the left hook, and Cool Boy Steph goes down. He gets hurt by the right hand, and then the left hook followed behind it. And Cool Boy Steph looks like he's really hurt. He has no legs. And Inoue is going for the knockout. He's going to the body and head. He's pressed against the corner, and Scooter is going to have to hold on. Big right hand lands by Inoue. The ref comes in. Scooter drops down, and the ref calls this fight a halt. Inoue wins by knockout. Just as I was talking about how good of a guy my man Cool Boy Steph is personally, he gets caught by a left hook he didn't see coming. Then he got caught with a right hand that really buckled him and hurt him. And then Inoue comes back with the left hook, drops Cool Boy Steph. Man, I hate to see this happen to my man Scooter. I hate to see this happen, but this is boxing, y'all. This is boxing, and these things happen. You know, you get caught with a good shot. Sometimes it's hard to recover. You don't know exactly what happened. You don't have enough time to hold on and recover. And so it was just a big shot landed by Inoue. And I hate to see this happen, but like I always say, we can't do fighters over facts. And even though we like our fighters and our favorite fighters and our hometown heroes, we got to call a spade and deal with what's real. And what's real right now is that Inoue moved up to this weight division, and now he is unified as the WBC and WBO champion of the world. No excuses tonight. I do believe that Cool Boy Steph, he did look different as far as body-wise. His rhythm was not there throughout the duration of this fight. Every time he tried to pull that trigger with the right hand, he can never be in reach enough to land it. But there is no excuses tonight. They're showing a replay. It was a big right hand that landed flush, and then it was the left hook, and then the barrage of punches by Inoue that caught Scooter right in the corner. And if you heard me in the last round say that you cannot allow Inoue, am I saying his name wrong? Somebody's saying Inoue. Oh, I'm saying his name wrong all this time. Inoue. I've been saying Inoue all this time. But Inoue, you cannot allow him to press you against the ropes, and you cannot allow him to pin you in the corner. I just got finished saying that in the previous round. And we see that Cool Boy Steph looks like he's not hurt right now. He's walking around. He is responsive. He's not, out on his feet. These things happen in boxing. And Inoue came in tonight. He outboxed Cool Boy Steph to our surprise and to some of our dismay. Um, and it was a masterpiece. Honestly, it really was a masterpiece. And these things happen in boxing. Scooter got caught with a big shot. And yeah, I was waiting for Scooter to pivot just a little more instead of backing straight up. Um, and Inoue, Inoue made some technical mistakes, but at the end of the day, um, he did enough to win, and it was very impressive as a win. And we'll see what's next with we will see what's next for Inoue and Cool Boy Steph. I'll probably have to go back to the drawing board. This was a great opportunity for Cool Boy. Coming to Japan, coming to another man's hometown to defend his titles. I can tell that Scooter was not the same. His movement, he looked a little bit slower as far as his footwork is concerned. I don't know if him having a busted nose played into the reason why he started gassing a little bit. Sometimes that happened. I don't think his nose is broke, though. I can assure you that I don't think his nose is broke at all. But he wasn't landing any punches to the body. Scooter was not. His jab was not effective tonight, as we're used to seeing. And he just looked off to me. Just me seeing him in the gym, just me seeing him live in person fight, just me seeing him obviously on TV, just me talking to him a lot. He just, to me, he looked different. But there's no excuses in boxing, because if he would have won, even though he looked different, I'd have still said he looked different, but he came out with the win. Just his feet looked a little bit slow. He did not display a lot of head movement that we used to seeing. He did display some head movement. He did, but it wasn't the same head movement we're accustomed of seeing. The right hand he was trying to pull the trigger sometime. Sometime I think he was a little bit gun shy. But when he was throwing the right hand, he was not in range. And they're showing a replay again. It started off with that left hand to the body. Remember, I told y'all that the only reason why Inoue was throwing that straight left to the body is so he can go over the top with the right hand. And that's exactly what he did. I've been calling that same punch the entire night. And they're showing it again. Inoue, he throws the left hand to the body as a decoy. And then he lands a big right hand, flush, that caught the attention of Scooter. Obviously, he was out on his feet because he did not defend himself. And it was a good combination. Straight left to the body, over the top with the right hand. And then the left hook puts Scooter down. And then, of course, Scooter gets pinned in the corner. He's trying to defend himself. And the right hand, left hand, then the left hook finally puts him down. Referee did a great job. And he steps right in and stopped the fight. I've been calling that punch, ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew. I was calling that punch the entire night. If you listen to the beginning or the middle of this broadcast, I kept on saying that Inoue was just landing the jab to the middle of the body of Scooter. He kept doing that, and I told y'all why. So that he can land the overhand right. Didn't I tell y'all that? He was only doing it as a decoy to set up with the right hand. And that's exactly what he did. No love lost for Scooter. He's still a champion here in Philadelphia. And this is his first loss. This is his camp's first loss. And so they got to go back to the drawing board. And sometimes, when it's your first loss in a professional fight, especially a big fight, sometimes it takes the fighter some time to recuperate. And that happens, But the thing I like about Scooter, he's walking to the back now, and he got his head up, held high. And that's just how you're supposed to take your losses in this sport. No excuses was made. Inoue came. He came to fight. Um, he outboxed Scooter the entire night, and he caught him with a big shot. But he set up that punch all night. I was watching it from round two all the way up. I kept calling it that he was landing that straight left to the body, the straight left jab to the body, just as a decoy so he can land the right hand. I saw that punch from right here. And that was the punch that hurt Scooter flush. And then, after he got caught with that big shot, Inoue did what he was supposed to do. He jumped right on his opponent. That's just what you're supposed to do when you got him hurt. And Scooter would have done the same thing had he hurt Inoue. And that's just how it is. But it is what it is. And I wish Inoue the best. I wish Scooter the best. These two warriors came in here and they gave what they had. I didn't like to see my guy lose, but this is once again, I just told y'all and I say it again. This is boxing, and these things happen as the viewership is increasing exponentially. Good morning to everyone. Um, I just wanted Scooter to be just a little bit more um, aggressive and less hesitant. You can tell that he was a little hesitant to pull the trigger. Every time he threw the right hand, he was definitely not in range. And of course, I would say that plays into the defense of Inoue, who was pushing his head back at the right time, not to get hit. And you know, Scooter just had to step in with those jabs. He was just a little gun shy to me. And he looked slower on his feet, definitely on his feet. So I don't know him going to another country played a part in it. Sometimes that happens, as far as the time zones and different things like that. But I think he went over there early enough to get acclimated. I'm not sure, but bottom line is I really wish that he won, but he did not. And we got to give credit where it's due because if Cool Boy would have won, I'd be sitting up here saying the same thing I'm saying about Inoue right now. But Inoue, take nothing away from him. We can't be biased now. You know what I mean? Inoue came in front of his hometown fans. He got Bob Arum behind him. I told y'all something about that WBO. I've been telling y'all about that. All Bob Arum got to do. You see the guy he's standing next to, if y'all watching it on the broadcast. You see the guy he's standing next to, both of the guys that he's standing next to. But especially the guy over there to his right, Mr. Mendoza, you know what I mean? That's the WBO commission. And now some other Japanese fella steps in the ring, and I guess they're trying to promote this fight next. But the bottom line is, Inoue came in and he did what he was supposed to do. And we got to give him credit. That was a big shot that he landed on Cool Boy. And salute to BBO Boxing. Um, and now Inoue is walking around with all them shiny belts, the WBO and the WBC. And he made history. And I'm telling y'all, man, Inoue has good boxing skills, and I was really impressed with um, his footwork this morning. Definitely. Somebody asked in the chat, was it a knockout? Yes, it was. Um, it was a knockout. Tony Rome, it was a knockout. And I have a question for the chat as the viewership is increasing exponentially. I have a question in the chat. What's next for Scooter, Cool Boy Steph? I mean, this was his biggest fight of his career, defending his titles in another man's country. Obviously, he lost, but he didn't lose on the scorecards. He lost by devastating knockout. This first time he ever got knocked down or knocked out. First time he ever lost. What's next for him? Yeah, they got to go up. Yeah, he got to go back to the drawing board. Absolutely. Um, Somebody said go back and rematch Figueroa at 126. Okay, I can see that. You know, I mean, what's next for him? I mean, yeah, he could go back up there and fight Figueroa, but I don't. It will be a big money fight because it is a rematch. Won't be for any titles, of course. Um, Now, somebody in the chat says something that I was not expecting any of you to say, and that is gotta run it back. Michael Ray the second says run it back. They're showing a replay again. I mean, he caught him flush. Uh, I just don't see them running it back. I'm be honest with you. I'm be honest with you. I just don't see them um, running this fight back. I think if it was a little bit closer, and more competitive, then I can, see it being something to sell the fans, to be able to run this back and make the fans pay for it. But because this was almost um, a shutout before the knockout happened, it's just not more. It's not appealing enough to engage and galvanize the fans to pay for this pay per view. That's just my uh, assessment. So, I, you know, I will say this though. I will say this. Scooter has nothing to put his head down about. This is his first loss. He still he still is young in the sport. He was a world champion unified. I mean, he came off of a tough outing tonight. He came out of a big fight tonight, and I don't know if his body played the part in this because he didn't look like the Scooter we all know. But bottom line is, um, he definitely got to go back to the drawing board. He was being beat to the punch by the jab all night long, to the body and to the head, mainly to the head. And Inoue kept throwing that same combination all night. And to me, there was no adjustments being made by Scooter because once he meaning uh, anyway, once he kept landing that jab to the body, you knew that he was coming up top with the right hand, and he was doing that same combination all night long. And so, um, when you look at the body of work that Inoue displayed tonight, not only does he have speed and power, but he can box. He can box, and he showed that tonight. I mean, whatever he's going to do, he has to hurry up and do it anyway, because it's not like he's 20 years old. He's 30 years old. I mean, so he has to hurry up and do what he needs to do, and that's why they pushing him, and that's why they moving him up, and that's why they're putting a lot of money behind him. And so um, he did a great job tonight. And also, I want to say this too, because I said this earlier on in the broadcast, that Cool Boy Steph was not throwing enough body punches. I don't even think he threw one. I could be wrong. I might say one or two, but he didn't display a body attack. He didn't back in your way up. Um, like I said, every time he threw the right hand, he was mainly out of range. He began to be defensive minded when the punches were coming at him. I saw him jerk his head a little bit. Um, I saw him putting his guard up a lot. I'm talking about Scooter. When the punches was coming at him, I saw him moving, on the balls of his feet as we do in boxing, a little bit too much. And I just want him to be a little bit more offensive minded in this fight Bottom line is, Inoue came in the ring. He was prepared. Um, salute to you again, BVO. I see you. He just was a little gun shy, from what I can see. He landed a right hand on Inoue. Of course, it didn't hurt Inoue, but once he landed it, and I said this earlier in the broadcast, he didn't capitalize on it. And when you land a big punch like Inoue did, Inoue jumped right on it. He capitalized off of the big punch that he landed, and Cool Boy Steph did not. In round 7, Cool Boy, he did land a right hand flush. I mean, it really wasn't enough to stop Inoue or make him second guess himself. But he did not capitalize on it by jumping onto it. And of course, when a guy has power like that, when a guy has power like that, and you're in the ring fighting against a guy or a woman, but more so a fighter in general, you do second guess yourself because you don't want to get caught with nothing. But sometimes as a fighter, when you second guess yourself too much, and you're focusing in on, okay, he can hit me with this or she can hit me with this, and not having any adjustments to be made within 6, 7, 8 rounds of a fight, you're asking to be knocked out because you're being too defensive minded. And then it comes to a point where the fan base are looking at you saying, are you doing this just to survive? Are you just trying to survive? And most times mentally, fighters are just trying to uh, survive. When they get hit with certain punches, or they say within themselves, I can't stop this fighter from hitting me. I really don't have enough power to keep him off me, and he's not going to stop coming. And then now your brain tells you, just survive and don't get knocked out. And I'm not saying that that's what happened tonight. I'm not, of course, in Scooter's mind or anything, but I'm just saying body language speaks volumes. And the body language that we saw, and I said it from the opening bell, that in the beginning, their body language, both fighters' body language looked like they came to fight. And then when them punches start flying, that's when the body language start changing from Scooter. You know what I mean? Um, but Inoue, he came and took care of business in his hometown, in his backyard, as he should have. And it is what it is. It is what it is. Ain't no excuses now. Like I said, I got a lot of love and respect for Cool Boy Steph. People in his training camp that I know well, that I talked to several times this week about the hand wrapping situation and other things that was, a concern out there with those guys and all that stuff. But we got to call a spade a spade. To me, just knowing Scooter and how he trains and how he look in the ring, he didn't look like himself to me. And that's not an excuse now. I want to be clear on that. That's not an excuse. He didn't look like himself to me from what I'm used to seeing him, and I've seen him fight a lot of times. But at the same time, we can't say that that Inoue don't deserve credit today, because he does. He came in, he was landing punches at will. He showed his boxing ability. Now, he did have some technical flaws that he definitely needs to work on. But at the same time, he did what he was supposed to do. He came in, he was throwing combinations, he was using good footwork to back Scooter up. He was landing punches to the body and the head, and then he kept pawing that jab out. First, he was pawing it out to the body at first. Then he started landing it. Then he starts saying, okay, if I can land this, let me throw this behind it, the right hand. And that's what he did. Then he says, okay, now I'm going to really throw the punch with bad intentions, the jab to the body, right in the middle of the body. And then once he started realizing as time progressed, as the rounds were going on, as Inoue realized that he can land that punch downstairs, now it's time for me to go upstairs with the right hand. That's Inoue thinking, I'm saying. You know what I mean? And so we got to give Inoue all his credit. He came, he did everything he was supposed to do. And he set those punches up. And that's what good boxing is all about. We don't just go in there and just start throwing stuff. You know what I mean? We go in there like, yo, I'm throwing this, but it's so that I can land this. It's like mental chess, not checkers, chess. When you getting inside the ring. And that's why I always say, and obviously it's an old adage in boxing, everybody say this now, and the people been saying it before me, 85% of boxing is mental. And, that's facts. Boxing is 85% mental. And we saw that tonight. The other 15% is physical. And Inoue came and did what he's supposed to do, man. Good boxing abilities that he showed tonight. His footwork was definitely on point. And he set those punches up. And that's what happens when you set punches up in boxing. He set that punch up. That was not a lucky punch. That right hand was not a lucky punch, ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Road to Take film crew. I've been calling that punch out from, I think, round 2 on up. I've been calling that punch out. That punch combination, because I seen what he was doing. He was throwing that jab to the body. Yeah, he was just trying to see the reaction that he can get, because his entire intention was to throw the right hand, and most times he did throw the right hand behind it, and that was the same punch that knocked out, or rather knocked down, Scooter. And hey, this is boxing, and they had Scooter up as the bet odds, right? He was an underdog on the bet odds, So it was just a lopsided fight. It was definitely a lopsided fight. No question about it. And there's one more fight though. Oh my goodness, the viewership is increasing exponentially. There's one more fight. Not today. But there's one more fight that everybody's waiting on. And that's the fight between, Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford. And I want to say this because I was trying to publish this just yesterday. But there was some issues from a video that I was replaying from the zone when Errol Spence was fought Kell Brook, and I didn't want to get flagged for what would you call that, copyright. I didn't want to get flagged, none of that. So I didn't want to put it out there, because I'm not trying to steal nobody content. That ain't even in my character. But I noticed that that the Zone's logo was on the video that I was trying to replay for what you see on your screen now. And that's my 3-part series that I call In the 10th Round. And you may have seen part 1. If you didn't see part 1 of In the 10th Round, please go back and refer to it on this channel. And part 2, I might as well do part 2 right now since I can't play the certain videos of the fights that I wanted to present in part 2. In the 10th round. And I've been watching boxing, obviously, way before I even got involved in boxing, since I was a kid. And I've noticed and discovered that in classic fights, special things happen where there's a battle of wills between both fighters, and most of those fights determine the winner in the 10th round. If you saw part one, I played or replayed what happened between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Ricky Hatton, two undefeated world champions. As Floyd Mayweather knocked Ricky Hatton out in the 10th round. And then I also played what happened in the 10th round between Riddick Bowe, and Evander Holyfield, and how that was voted as the round of the century, where both men had a battle of wills. In the beginning, Riddick Bowe was doing his thing, hitting Holyfield with combinations to the head, to the body, putting on a masterpiece. But Holyfield's determination and will not to quit and give up rung true in the latter stages of the round. And all of that happened in the 10th round. Then you saw me publish a replay of one of the first times that I started noticing referee Tony Weeks and the good job that he's done. Now, I'm going back 20-something years ago because I saw that fight live between Jose Luis Castillo and Diego Corrales. God rest his soul. And Castillo knocked Diego Corrales down twice in that same round. But Diego had a will to win, and he was determined not to lose. And it became a very classic round, to the point where Diego knocked him out by TKO. And all of that happened in the 10th round. And then I even had to show when Crawford, after coming out the 9th round, after Bomac and his training camp told him, his training team, or his coaches rather, or his team, I'll just say his team, was telling him, you down on the scorecard against Sean Porter. You're down. You're down on the scorecards. You're losing this fight. And he came out the next round and he knocked Sean Porter down once. Porter gets up. He knocks Porter down again. And Sean Porter's dad, Kenny Porter, throwing the towel, stop the fight. And all of that happened in the 10th round. So special things, according to history, have shown us time and time again, that special things happen in the 10th round. And the reason why I keep highlighting the 10th round is because we've been hearing so much in boxing about the championship rounds 11 and round 12. But there's that 10th round, that round that most people overlook. I'm talking about according to history. According to history, special things have happened, in the 10th round. And I wanted to highlight it because I believe that in this fight between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, that something special is going to happen in this classic fight in the 10th round. The fight might be determined by the winner in the 10th round. We don't know, but I believe, I feel it in my gut. Something special is going to happen in the 10th round in this fight because history has shown us, basically time and time again what happens in the 10th round. So I was actually going to produce and publish and republish rather several fights like I did in part one here in part two. And first fight I was going to publish, and I'll say it now, was Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean? When he fought Louis Ortiz the first time. And he won that fight in his 40th win, consecutive, 40 wins consecutively. And how did he win that fight? Not only did he knock Louis Ortiz down in that round, but he also landed a vicious right uppercut, putting Ortiz down. Referee stops the fight, and Wilder wins by TKO in the 10th round. And the other fight I was going to show was when James Buster Douglas went to Japan with all the odds stacked against him, specifically being a 42 to 1 underdog on the betting odds against the monster, the Iron Man, Iron Mike Tyson, who they just used Buster Douglas as a stepping stone, as a gatekeeper, so that they can prepare to fight for the titles against, or unify the titles with Evander Holyfield. But Buster Douglas, remember I told you the 10th round is all about having that battle of the wills to win and not give up. Buster Douglas came off of being knocked down by Mike Tyson in the 9th round. Then he comes back in the next round, and then he knocks out the big bad wolf in Mike Tyson. And all of that happened in the 10th round. Then I was going to show what happened in the fight with 45-year-old George Foreman challenging a man who was 19 years younger than him in the heavyweight champ of the world, the first heavyweight champ of the world, who was a southpaw, that is, Michael Moorer. And George Foreman was losing that fight big time. Like, it wasn't even close. Michael Moorer was giving George Foreman a boxing lesson, like he gave Evander Holyfield a boxing lesson. But he was giving George Foreman a boxing lesson until George Foreman landed a punch. And watch this. He landed one of the best combinations in the business. 1-2 punch. He landed it, right? Once he landed it, and that right hand hit Moorer flush, he said, oh, now I got the young bull. Because Michael Moorer started to move to the same side as the right hand, slightly. And because of the wisdom and experience of the 45-year-old lion, he baited the 19-year-old cub, hit him with that same punch again, like 5 seconds later. 1-2, pop, boop. Michael Moorer goes down for the count. And George Foreman becomes the heavyweight champion of the world again after a 20-year hiatus, to become the oldest boxer in the history of the sport, as he knocked out Michael Moorer. And all of that happened in the 10th round. And then we have to also conclude it with this. Errol Spence Jr. goes to Kell Brook's backyard in England to challenge him for the IBF welterweight title. And for the first time, we've seen Kell Brook in trouble in the welterweight division. I'm not talking about when he moved up to fight Triple G. I'm talking about in the welterweight division. He was still ranked number 1 now. In the welterweight division at that time, he was the champion. But something happened. Let me tell you what happened. Errol Spence changed his levels up. And he knocked Kell Brook down. And after he knocked him down, Kell Brook got up. And Kell Brook began to fight back. Once again, the battle of wills happened in this round. But all of that happened in the 10th round. So stay tuned for part 3 of this three-part series I like to call In the 10th Round, where history has been made time and time and time again in the sport of boxing between two champions in classic fights. In classic fights now, special things usually happen in the 10th round. So I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. I won't hold you all too long. I'm glad that you all came by this morning. I know it was early for most of us on the East Coast, but we had to come and support an American champion, our very own. And he came up short this morning. He has nothing to put his head down about, because when a one good champion is fighting another good champion, somebody got to lose. And it's hard to knock out a champion who's not being used to getting knocked down or knocked out. But at the same time, we got to give credit where it's due. Inoue came, he outboxed Cowboy Steph for a minimum of 7 rounds, at least. And he caught Cowboy with a combination that I've been calling all morning, that he was setting up. I've been saying it live. He was setting that punch up. Straight left to the body so he can go over the top with the right hand. Well, he didn't have to go over the top. He landed a straight right because Cowboy Steph didn't have, excuse me, he didn't have his left hand up. So he didn't have to go over the top with it. Bottom line is he was landing that punch. He was going to land that punch because he was landing that right hand punch all night long. Or in this case, all morning long. In our case, all morning long. In their case, all night long. Over there in Japan. But Cowboy Steph has nothing to be shy about, put his head down about. This is boxing. Cowboy Steph suffered his first loss and he got knocked out. And it is what it is. And so now he got to go back to the drawing board. I'm sure he will. He has one of the best, if not the best, representation in the business with Al Haymon and them. So I know they're going to put him back in there, build his confidence back up. And Cowboy Steph is so special and talented. He has the ability and tools to be a champion again. No doubt about it. But it's all about how you respond under pressure and how you respond after a loss. So we shall see. But as far as Inoue, he came, put on a boxing clinic, and he was fighting a guy who didn't have a lot of power anyway, so he had no fear walking in there, walking inside those punches, bringing the fight to Cowboy. And he just did a good job. He does have some technical things that he need to work on. But bottom line is he brought all the tools tonight, and he used the tools that he had, and it was just enough to get what he wanted anyway, and that was the knockout. In his hometown, in his backyard. And he moved up in this division, and he became unified just off of one fight. And you know the reason why that happened, don't you? I'm going to leave you all with this. You know how he was able to go up in that weight class and automatically compete for a title. This is no different than when Terrence Crawford was at top rank. He moved up to the welterweight division, and he got a shot at the WBO title with Jeff Horn. You see, that only happens for one reason. And I'm going to leave y'all with this. Good representation in this business is priceless. Let me say it again for the people all the way in the back. Good representation in this business is priceless. And so with that being said, I thank you all for coming this morning. Look forward to seeing and hearing from you all in the comment sections, in the chat when we go live this week. Have a special edition live coming up this week for all of you. Very special edition. Very special edition. So I look forward to Terrence Bud Crawford fans to come on out. I look forward to Errol Spence fans to come on out. because y'all know when we go live, you know, we got to do our truth hurts, nip it in the bud segments. So I look forward to seeing all of you. And man, I tell you, what a good fight today for Inoue. I'm Manager Marty. Y'all know my famous three words. And this is how I'm going to have to end this segment. Famous three words today. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape